I am Karl Smith. I originally studied art at Illinois Wesleyan University, St. Xavier College, additional classes at the School of the Art Institute, video production at Illinois State University, and web design at Heartland College. All right, so this is the culmination of photos that I've taken over a very long period of time that involve the debris left over from being a type 1 diabetic. And what I mean by that is, people think, oh, you have to take shots, like, it's a horrible thing to take a single shot. But when you say, I've taken over 20,000 shots that I've given to myself, there's also a lot of garbage that goes along with it. And so, what came across over time is that I'm really documenting all those bits and pieces and taking this garbage, and all of it is stuff that I've used. It is not brand new stuff, it's stuff that I've used. And then trying to make something beautiful or intriguing out of it. The first photo was actually just a one-off that I did when I was at St. Xavier College. I had the opportunity to work with a 4x5 camera, and one of the fun bits was that is you can do these shots with extremely long focal lengths, and I was trying to do that, and I was trying to figure out what to do, and I had all of these leftover syringe caps. These are the caps that go over the plunger of a syringe. I had hundreds of them, and so I set them up in rows, and along with this very deep depth of field, I was trying to get that effect that you would get with the cemetery stones at Arlington National Cemetery. But in that first photo, I wasn't thinking past that one photo. About 15 years later, a friend of mine said, hey, you should put something in this art show down in Clinton. And well, I still had some debris sitting around, and that's where the second photo came from. And then from there, the third, fourth, I'm now up to a complete collection. And it's transitioned from single shots to really becoming a photo essay of my life as a diabetic as seen through this trash. Along the way, part of what's rolling through my brain is that, I want people to understand a couple of things. First of all, what life is as a type 1 diabetic, the things that you actually have to use, the things people don't see, all of the equipment, the test strips, the devices, insulin pump, cannulas, all these different things that we have to use to survive as a type 1 diabetic. Also, when you start going, hey, this stuff's not free, I have to pay for this stuff, and then you start going, well, this is why I don't have the fancy new car, this is why I don't have a house, because when I'm paying for extra insurance and I'm paying for all of the medical materials, I'm paying the price of a good mortgage to just survive. And then by the same token, if this sparks awareness for people and we can engage, I've worked with JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. This is so that you can actually find a cure for diabetes, because I contracted diabetes at 15, and I'm not the youngest person I've ever met that has contracted diabetes. I've met, a 3-year-old with diabetes. And so my hope is that, with some more awareness and some more funding, we can find a cure for it, not for me, but for that 3-year-old that I see walking around with an insulin pump. That breaks my heart. So the process is a bit of discovery. I don't necessarily start off with a master plan for all of these. Each group of items, I've taken them and tried to figure out what I was going to do with that particular item. However, there were some inspirations for it. Long time ago, I saw an exhibit of Irving Penn photographs where he would take, a empty pack of cigarettes that he found on the street corner, and then he would blow them up huge and do these platinum prints, exquisitely beautiful prints of a crumpled up cigarette pack. It's that concept of taking trash and making it important. So that was an influence. And then, going through, and you might see this in the photos, You know, some of them I'm trying to emulate fashion magazines. You know, if I were trying to advertise this as if it was, you know, fashion model, or, you know, here's this thing for sale, you know, how do I do that? So, you know, words pop up. Otherwise, it's really just me trying not to repeat myself, trying to find different lighting scenarios, different you know, lens configurations, whatever that is, just to kind of, you know, push something I just haven't tried to do before. You know, trying not to repeat what I've got in this body of work, which is tricky. Technical side of it is, you know, I started, you know, the first couple of photos were definitely shot on film. You know, I mentioned the very first ones were shot with a 4x5 camera, and that's definitely film. But then, you know, second, third, fourth, I can't remember how many were still shot with a 35mm camera, and then switched to digital. So over time, the technology has changed, and, you know, getting better and better computers and being more fluent in Photoshop, that's kind of my darkroom now, as opposed to, you know, actually going in and working with the chemicals. So, you know, that has changed over time. 2016, after 6 years of being on a transplant waiting list because I needed a kidney, finally got the call, finally got my transplant. So that's 2016 in May. And then it took me about a year after that to really process it, and I realized I really needed to send a thank you note. I know it sounds cheesy, it's that thing your parents make you do when you're a kid, you had to write a thank you note. But, you know, the gift I got was life-altering. But I mean that in two ways. You know, I needed a kidney, but I also wanted a pancreas because that would help me with my type 1 diabetes. But there's only one way to get a pancreas, and that's with what's called a cadaver donor, which means the host doesn't live through the process. So I sent out the thank you note, and about a month or two, about 3 months later, I get contacted back through the organization saying that the donor family would like to meet me. And so I've been able to connect with them. I did find out that my donor was a 21-year-old U of I student who tragically had a head injury, bleeding in the brain, that he was not going to survive. And I'm one of 5 recipients of organs. There were 7 total. I've got 2 of them. To my knowledge at this time, we don't know who else has them or success or anything like that. But I've kept in touch with this family, you know, because, you know, this gift they gave me, unfortunately, Brett, his name's Brett, you know, with the head injury, he couldn't answer for himself, but the family as a whole said, you know, we should do this. We should donate his organs. And so, you know, I'm very thankful. I see the positive effect that it's had on me personally. My family sees the positive effect that has on the family itself, because, you know, when you've got type 1 diabetes and you're really managing it well, you are so, I don't want to say self-centered in a greedy sense, but you are so self-conscious of what you're doing that it's difficult to be as supportive as you can, say, to my wife or my son. That, and as my kidney was failing, there's fatigue involved. And so I would literally come home from work and take a nap so I could be up for an hour or 2 before going to bed. I was that fatigued. Well, once I have a new kidney, that fatigue is gone, and now I can be, you know, a better dad. I can be a better husband. I can be, you know, more active in my community. I can be a better church member. You know, take your pick. And so the concept of thankfulness just is writ large in huge letters. And so, you know, that's why I wrote the thank you note. That's why I'm so pleased to have any association with this family at their time of loss. And, you know, having had the opportunity to speak with them, I think it helped the family as well to, don't like the term closure, but that they realize some benefit has come out of the tragedy that was the loss of their son and their brother. the series itself has kind of reached a conclusion, an ending point. And I can say, you know, here's the start, here's the finish of this particular series. You know, I can joke and say it's the story of my life, but really it is, and it's got a beginning point and an end point, not the end of my life, but the end of this particular story of being a full-blown type 1 diabetic. I think it's important to display it. You know, I've shown my photo book privately, I've shown parts of these privately, but I haven't had the opportunity to really show them full size and in quantity, all in a space. And, you know, to bring about that awareness to other people of, you know, this is what life is as a type 1 diabetic. These are the things you contend with. Now, you know, I've certainly been coming to the McLean County Arts Center for a while here. I've had, you know, a number of different friends who have shown here, you know, whether it's the amateur show or, you know, they've had solo shows as professionals. And, you know, I walk in here and I say to myself, you know, one of these days, I got to do this. And so this is my opportunity. This is my chance to show the story of my life.